George Russell has reportedly broken his silence, sending a strong warning to Mercedes, warning that he may leave Mercedes. According to the claims, Russell feels that Mercedes is treating him unfairly by prioritizing Kimi Antonelli, believing Kimi is receiving the better performing car while he continues to struggle with technical issues. After a disappointing 2026 season filled with problems on almost every race weekend, Russell is said to be unhappy with the situation. Despite being a proven Grand Prix winner, he reportedly feels that Mercedes is focusing more on Kimi's future than supporting him. Could this growing tension push Russell toward leaving the team, or is there more to the story? Let's break down everything we know. It was supposed to be a routine Sunday for George Russell, starting 6th on the grid at the Hungaroring, just ahead of teammate Kimi Antonelli. Russell had every reason to expect a solid points haul heading into F1's summer break. Instead, what happened at the start of that race has become the latest entry in what is turning into the most chaotic season of his Formula One career. As the lights prepared to go out, Russell's Mercedes W17 began behaving erratically. While holding his weight revs, the standard procedure of holding engine RPM at a set level before launch, the revs surged out of proportion to what he was actually asking for through the throttle. The engine hit its rev limiter. Russell tried to regain control, lifting off the throttle to under 10% demand right as the lights went out. The result, anti-stall kicked in, and Russell's car crawled off the line while the rest of the grid disappeared into the distance. He dropped from 6th to 21st, dead last in the blink of an eye. Sergio Perez, for context, was already starting from the pit lane. And even he had a better first lap than the Mercedes driver. Somehow, Russell clawed his way back to 7th by the checkered flag, salvaging 6 points from what could have been a total write-off of a weekend. But the damage to his championship hopes was already done, adding yet another bizarre footnote to a year that already reads like a highlight reel of misfortune. Kimi Antonelli, meanwhile, finished 3rd in Hungary, extending his championship lead over Russell to a staggering 59 points. To put that into perspective, Russell's deficit was just 25 points coming out of the British Grand Prix before the Belgian and Hungarian doubleheader. In the space of 2 race weekends, his title challenge has effectively collapsed. Mercedes deputy team principal Bradley Lord later explained the technical root cause behind the Hungary start. The rising revs during Russell's weight rev procedure were traced to what appears to be a calibration issue. It's the same broader gremlin that had already caused Russell to complain of a serious straight-line speed deficit back in Spa just 1 race earlier. That Spa weekend ended in a race-ending collision for Russell, one more entry on a list that is growing far too long for comfort, showing this isn't a single freak occurrence but a pattern stretching across multiple weekends. Taken individually, any one of these incidents might be dismissed as bad luck. Stacked together across a single championship campaign, they start to look like something closer to a crisis. Speaking to the media after the race, Russell didn't hide his frustration, but he also made clear this isn't him against his own team. The whole team feels it as well, Russell said. They're as pissed off as I am with how it's unfolded. Still, he acknowledged the need for introspection rather than pointing fingers outward. We need to look at ourselves to ensure it is nothing we're doing wrong that is contributing to these errors, he admitted, noting that Mercedes isn't the only team suffering reliability issues this year, Oscar Piastri's own gearbox failure being one recent example from across the paddock. But even accounting for bad luck spread across the grid, Russell says what he's experiencing feels different. It just feels like it is happening substantially more to me than others, he said. I don't wish bad luck on anyone, but I've never had a season like this in my career, let alone my F1 career. Perhaps the most telling admission came when Russell was asked how he avoids spiraling into negativity after a result like Hungary. His answer: focus only on what's controllable. In Hungary, the race was totally ruined. I did my procedure right at the start. The pace was fine, but the result was stat, he said. The things that I could have controlled were okay. And then, the line that's since spread across the paddock: I usually don't feel like I need a break, but this year I definitely feel like I need one. In a separate interview with Sky Sports, Russell went further, describing himself as having moved past the emotional toll of it all just to survive the rest of the campaign. I'm sort of past the point of disappointment now, he said, because if I continue to be disappointed with everything that goes on, I'll just be disappointed every day of the week. So I've got to stay positive. He also gave more detail on exactly what went wrong at the start in Hungary, describing a car that felt completely out of his hands in the crucial seconds before lights out. "I was on the throttle waiting, then all of a sudden the engine was going all over the place. It was revving really high and really low." He explained, a description that lines up precisely with the technical explanation later provided by Mercedes. There was one silver lining buried in the wreckage of Hungary: his actual raw pace once he got going. Russell noted his team told him his speed in the race was as strong as anybody on the grid, something he hadn't been able to say for roughly 3 races. It's a small crumb of comfort for a driver who has had almost every mechanical or procedural gremlin imaginable thrown at him in the first half of 2026. Whether that pace translates into results in the second half of the year remains to be seen. With Formula One heading into its summer break before the Dutch Grand Prix, Russell has a few precious weeks to reset and hope, in his own words, that things calm down. The bigger question hanging over Mercedes is whether these issues can be fixed before they cost Russell any realistic shot at fighting back in the championship. A 59-point gap to a rookie teammate is not insurmountable, but it leaves little margin for further errors, especially with a possible grid penalty for an engine change still looming. Every additional swap, every additional gremlin, chips away at a season that already feels lost more to circumstance than to a lack of speed. For a driver who has proven himself capable of winning Grand Prix and fighting at the front of the field, watching a season slip away to calibration issues, battery failures, and mistaken penalties is a bitter pill. Russell's own words make clear this isn't about motivation, it's about a car that time and again hasn't held up its end of the bargain. Whatever happens next, one thing is clear: George Russell's 2026 season has been defined not by a lack of speed, but by a seemingly endless run of misfortune that even he admits is unlike anything he's experienced before. Whether Mercedes can turn things around before the title fight slips completely out of reach is the story we'll be watching closely as the second half of the season unfolds. If you want to stay on top of every twist in the 2026 F1 Championship battle, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because this story is far from over.